All right, Most High in Christ. Shalom, shalom. You in live Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, Biblical Scripture Breakdown class. Here with Priest and Captain Natazak Mashah. Ready to get it on. All right. Everybody some time to go ahead and get into class. Of course, like we always do every Wednesday night. Got any questions? Just type your questions in. Be able to get to them. Okay, Most High in Christ. Wherever you watching on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Hey, shalom, shalom, brother. Just make sure you sign in for attendance. The officer taking the attendance be able to take your name information down. All right. Hey, shalom. You on Instagram, you on Reddit, you on MeWe, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You understand? You watching on Twitch. Shalom, shalom. We're gonna get started in a little bit. All right. All right. So we left off. We're going back with Abraham. You understand? The Lord gave him instructions. Gave Abraham instructions, going through and talking about the things that you see in the New Testament. Those things that are recorded and talked about in the New Testament, they all come from somewhere. Very important events, very important history. Just like America, our oppressor teaches his sons and daughters and his children to honor their history, to remember what happened, the Alamo, the Revolutionary Wars, the Civil Wars, you understand, the preamble, the Constitution, all of the things that are important to him and his heritage. You understand? Well, our heritage that the Lord gave us, we have discontinued from it. And we need to come back and reclaim that heritage. And that is what we teach our people to do right here in the Isupk. Is the only place where you can learn the ancient biblical heritage that the Lord gave us without the colonization, without all the scams and schemes and joining other nations and political agendas and half truths and mischanged stories and all of that. This is what the Lord said. We're going to start here in Jeremiah chapter 17 and verse 4. It says, "And thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee." Like we as a nation of people, we have discontinued from the heritage that the Most High gave us. He gave us his laws, statutes, and commandments, the high holy days that we celebrate. You understand, the memorial blowing of trumpets. You understand, the feast of first fruits, the memorial blowing of trumpets, the day of atonement, our memorial days, Purim and Hanukkah. You understand? It says our Vietnamese, Cambodians, and South Asians, Moabites. They are families of the children of Moab. That's correct. All of those names come with political agendas. No, the Filipinos, the children of Japheth. They're not children of the Ammonites. Those are Japhethites. The Polynesian islands, those isles, those are the children of Japheth. You understand? Shem, Ham, and Japheth were Noah's three sons. They repopulated the earth after the flood. Should be the children of Japheth, the so-called Filipinos, the so-called Aborigines, as they're known in Australia, the native Australians, who are the native Latins. They are the natives of Europe before, the Edomites or the cave dweller, the Caucasian, which is what the word Caucasian means. It means cave dweller. They come from the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. There are people that were chased into caves that lived amongst the caves. They're cavemen. That's why everywhere they go, they destroy everything on the earth, the land, the water, the air, the sea. They take animals from their natural habitat and put them in a damn zoo, put them in Sea World. They take people from their natural land and shift them all over the world and start wars that they cause while they steal the resources in the land. And then eventually they claim the identity for themselves. They claim the identity of those people for themselves, just like today, the native Europeans, everyone would consider them to be so-called white men. They will consider the white man as a European. But that land of quote-unquote Europe does not originally belong to the so-called white man or the Edomite. None of the land belongs to them. You understand? So, just as a sidebar to answer that question, all right? But no, the Filipinos would be the children of Japheth. They're not so-called Ammonites. The so-called Ammonites would be the Japanese, all right? Should be the Japanese, all right? The Hawaiians, it's like the Hawaiians should be the children of Japheth, all right, as well. So let's get some more on that. It should be. All right. Let me see. Just a moment. Okay. So the Lord said, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee. We lost our heritage. Of course, we went into slavery for hundreds of years. We're still in slavery and captivity right now. That's why it's so important that we retrace and regain and reteach our heritage. The Bible says, rehearse the righteous acts. This is what we're doing here. All right. It says, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in a land which thou knowest not. And we are currently serving our enemies in a land that we did not know. Our forefathers did not come from this land known as the Americas, or North, South, Central America. Our homeland is in the Middle East. Our homeland has always been in the Middle East, in the land of Israel. You understand? That's where we come from. We've always came from there. That is the most fought over, the most sought after land on the entire planet. It's where the Crusades were fought over that land. You understand? Even before they discovered oil and all of the minerals in the mountains all throughout the Middle East and all throughout the land, that land was the most fought after. That's where the Garden of Eden is. It's always been. That's where civilization started in the Middle East, in that Fertile Crescent, in Sumeria and Mesopotamia, not in Egypt, not in Africa, not in Sudan, not in Ethiopia, in the Middle East. That's where it's always been. All right. The Bible says Jerusalem is the mother of us all. You understand? That's where we come from, the nation of Israel. And that's where all life began. You understand? From that Fertile Crescent. All right. It says, we shall discontinue from the heritage that he gave us. So now, in Deuteronomy chapter 28, he's going to tell you just a little bit about how we're going to go into a couple of those scriptures and see how we lost our heritage. Because we did not obey the Most High. We did not keep his laws, statutes, and commandments in our land. We didn't obey him. We served the gods of the Egyptians and the gods of the Africans and the gods of the Arabs and the sky gods and Baal and all of this, and Molech and Chewin, all of the gods, the deities, and the customs of the other nations of people, which Christianity has taken and made into one religion, that one world religion. Everybody talk about that Illuminati and the one world government and the one world religion. That's your damn Christianity, where any and everyone is welcome, everyone is accepted, and eventually their own beliefs all become a part of the religion itself. That is Christianity. The Bible has never been about all people coming together. It has never been all people friendly. It has never been welcoming. The God of the Bible is not for all people. It's not all people friendly. It's not the God of all people on the earth. He's the God of the children of Israel. You understand? Hey, shalom, sis, y'all, shalom. So when the Lord says, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68, these are ways that we discontinued from our heritage. It says, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt. Egypt is a Greek word meaning slavery, captivity, or bondage. When the Greeks took over Egypt, they took over this African country known as Egypt. They saw that the entire kingdom was built off of one race of people oppressing and exploiting another, just like America. You understand? That's why the Lord said we would go into Egypt, or a house of bondage again, meaning a second time. Except this time, the first time we walked into Egypt, this time we were going to take ships into this house of bondage. This is talking about the transatlantic slave trade in the Bible. All of the years, all of the decades, all of the generations of your family and my family and all of Black and Hispanic Native American families, no one has ever explained and shown in the scriptures that the transatlantic slave trade was prophesied to happen to the children of Israel. Not the white man calling himself the Jewish man. He is not the children of Israel, not the oppressor, not the Arabs, not any of the people living there now. They're not the children of Israel. The Ethiopians are not the children of Israel. The South Africans and the Igbo and the Ashanti and all the Africans that everyone wants to love rather than love the actual children of Israel sitting in an INS detention center being told to drink water out of a goddamn toilet or in some reservation in a house that's leaking with mold full of asbestos, getting $500 a damn year from the government, living off of crumbs and crabgrass. Those are the real children of Israel, and nobody but the Isupk is concerned about. If they were, they'd be in here with us. You understand? So when the Lord said we would go into Egypt again, how did we go into Egypt? How did we go into Egypt the first time? You understand? All right. So let's get that. How did we go into Egypt the first time? Let's get that real quick. Genesis chapter 46, verse 26. It says, all the souls that came with Jacob. There was a famine in the land of Canaan. The land of Canaan has always belonged to us. That's the land the Lord gave to Adam. That's the land the Lord then gave again to Abraham, which we're going to touch on a little bit of that. Then all of that land always has belonged to us. Heathens move into our land, just like when the ghetto gets gentrified, who moves in? Who moves into the ghetto once it gets gentrified? Once they tear down and board up the projects, once they raise the rent, once they close down the Save-A-Lot and the Aldis, you understand? Who moves into the neighborhood? Trader Joe's, Starbucks. What are some of those real expensive grocery stores? Trader Joe's, Starbucks, what's the other ones? Whole Foods, damn $10 loaf of bread, $9 pack of hot dogs, $6 bag of chips. You understand? All right. Why do Christians say hallelujah? You understand? It's a mistranslation of a Hebrew word, which is halal Yahweh. It's like praise the Most High. That's why Christians say it. Of course, Christians don't do anything that the Most High says. That's why they say it so much. That's right, Anna. Harris Teeter. That damn Trader Joe, Harris Teeter, Starbucks, Whole Foods, you understand? Pack of fish. The same $3 fish is an $8 fish. And they don't sell the $3 fish anymore. The same $4 pack of burgers is now a $10 pack of burgers. And they don't sell a $4 pack anymore. They price you out. They tear down the community. They turn it into condos. They board up the apartment. They get new management. They stop fixing the roads, stop fixing the streets. Next thing you know, you and everybody else is chased out of St. Paul's Boulevard, chased out of all the homes and places where we live. Then here comes Karen. Here comes Ken, Karen and Susie and Heather. Then they'll bring the Africans in and they'll set up shops and it'll be a whole new city. They'll call it revitalizing the town. It's called gentrification. After they get rid of us, then they bring in someone else that they really want in the city after starving us to death and waiting for the property value to drop to damn near nothing. Then they buy it for pennies on the dollar, put a bunch of money into it, and turn our homes into investment properties. You understand? So this is what the heathen have always done. That is why in Matthew the 10th chapter, Christ is telling the disciples, go not into the way of the heathen, into any city of the Samaritans, enter ye not. You understand? That's why he's saying this. All right? Because these other nations of people will live in our land, and it's important to know this. So now where we are at Deuteronomy 28 and 68, it says the Lord would bring us into Egypt again, because the first time we went into a house of bondage or Egypt, we walked there. So you can find this in Genesis chapter 46. You understand? Genesis chapter 46, and we're going to go to verse 2. There was a famine in the land of Canaan, which we were just talking about. That's our land as well. That land is over there in the Middle East where we are. There was a famine. So we had to leave our land and go now into the other nation's land, into the land of Egypt. So let's get some more. You understand? Son, bear with me just a moment. Trying to get this why we went into Egypt back in 25. Can't say the same thing. Genesis 46 and 3. And he said, I am the power, the God of thy father. Fear not to go down into Egypt. This is the Most High talking to Jacob. All right. For I will make thee a great nation. We weren't a great nation at that time. We were just 70 of us, just our family. A couple of brothers, their wives, their kids, their land, their cattle. That's all we had. There was a famine in the land of Canaan, which was our land, and we had to go into Egypt. It was very customary. Egypt was a very big land, very prosperous land, well known. Egypt was the world superpower. You understand? Let's keep going back to 24. Genesis chapter. Salaki. That's the problem. I'm going to 45 instead of 46. Salaki, I can bear with me. Give me just a moment. Because Joseph had been sold into slavery in Egypt. Joseph was sold into slavery in Egypt by his brothers, and then there was a famine in the land where the rest of his family was. He was sold to the Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites, who are so-called Arabs, they are known for slavery. We went into the transatlantic slave trade because Arabs built the ships, the Africans rounded us up, the Arabs built the ships, and then they took many of us in slave caravans back across the Middle East, back to our homeland, back to the Middle East where we had just left. They took us in iron and chains. The sub-Saharan slave trade, or the Arab Islamic slave trade, was one of the biggest slave trades in the world, next to the transatlantic slave trade across the ocean. So you have the Arabs, you have the Africans, the West Africans, those Igbo and Ashanti y'all love so goddamn much. You understand? All of Nigeria and Ghana, all of the great power and fame that they're known for today come from centuries of us being sold by them into slavery, and all of the empires that we built for our hundreds of years in Africa after we fled our homeland in the Middle East. All of those empires, they were able to capitalize as best they could because they are nowhere near as smart or as intelligent as us. That is why the white man came to find us and not them. You understand? Taking razor blades, cutting lines in your face, spreading hepatitis every goddamn where, sticking their head up an elephant's behind, smearing feces all over themselves, praying to the goddamn cow, eating monkeys, taking dumps in the drinking water, spreading Ebola every damn where. That's what's happening. And then, of course, as our laws civilized as best a heathen could be civilized, especially our oppressor, then they start to bathe regularly. Then they start to come up with hygiene rules and rules about cleanness and not dealing with and drinking blood to spread bloodborne diseases every damn way. Of course, they still heathen and they still do it and they still get sick, and every now and then you have a damn cholera outbreak or jaundice outbreak or hepatitis from all the goddamn bloody razor blades they sharing doing these simple tribal markings that the Lord told us never to be like the Egyptians or the Hamites or the Canaanites. You understand? With good reason. All right. So that's how we lost our heritage. We went into the land of Egypt. You understand? That's why the Lord is telling us this is the history of how we came into Egypt. You understand? Joseph was sold into slavery. He, of course, being an Israelite, being one of God's chosen people, he flourishes in Egypt. He's in jail. He outclasses them. He's able to interpret Pharaoh's dreams, tells him what to do. Next thing you know, this brother come out of prison. He's the second in charge over all of Egypt. He's well known. He's powerful. He's got respect. Pharaoh loves him. You understand? Next thing you know, our land has a famine in it. So we now leave Egypt. This is what the Lord told Jacob in Genesis 46 and verse 4. He said, I will go down with thee into Egypt. The Lord is telling them, go to Egypt. I'm going to go with you. I will be with you in the land of Egypt. I will also surely bring thee up again. Meaning you're going to go in Egypt, and while you're in Egypt, I'm going to make you a great nation. That's why it's important for us to learn the heritage of our people, the history of what's written in the Bible. All the things, if you ever learned about the Bible, most of the time in which you're hearing about the Bible is some preacher singing and dancing and trying to get you some effects so that you line his pockets with money, instead of teaching the actual history as to who these people are, what we did, what is our identity as so-called black people, so-called Hispanics, so-called Native Americans, so-called Puerto Ricans and Haitians. No preacher is teaching our people these things because they don't serve the Most High and they got no business teaching the Bible in the first place. No one does outside of the Isupk. We make that very plain and very clear, with and for good reason. You understand? So the Lord tells Jacob, I will go with thee into Egypt, and I will surely bring thee up again. And Joseph shall put his hand upon thine eyes. Joseph is the forefather of Ephraim and Manasseh. Joseph was one of Jacob's sons, who was the youngest boy who was sold into slavery, who is now becomes in charge and powerful in Egypt, just in time for the famine in the land of Canaan. Now the Lord is giving instructions. There were many times that an angel of the Lord gave instructions to go into the land of Egypt. If these were so-called white men, we could not go and hide in Egypt. Just like when Christ was a baby, the angel gave Joseph instructions to take your child and get out of our land of Israel, to go down into Egypt until he become a toddler or he's not a baby anymore. Because our oppressor passed a law to go through and kill all of our babies because they were afraid that a king would be born for the Jews. And now the people that they get rich off of and exploit and rob us to no end, they would not be able to rule over us because we would have a king of our own. And knowing the records of our kings, like King David and King Hezekiah and all of our leaders and King Saul, they knew that the Lord was a man of war. And if we got a king and our nation got put back together, instead of having those wicked religious leaders over us like we have right now, that they knew that they would have a serious warfare on their hands trying to subdue the nation of Israel again. That's why they said, well, just kill all of their babies and that should solve the problem, because that's how a heathen thinks. You understand? So that's just a little bit of the backstory. This is how we went into Egypt. This is how we went. We walked down into Egypt. You understand? All right. And Jacob was old. You understand? And the sons of Israel carried Jacob, their father, and their little ones and their wives in wagons, which Pharaoh had sent to carry him. We were in bad shape. And they took their cattle and their goods, which they had gotten in the land of Canaan, and came into Egypt. Jacob and all his seed with him, his sons' sons with him, his daughters and his sons' daughters, and all his seed he brought with him into Egypt. Our whole nation went with us. You understand? And the names is going to list all the names, all the babies, all the children. Reuben, all the 12 sons and their children, all of them are listed. You understand? And these are the sons and the wives and the daughters. Our names are, all of these things are listed. Now you go down to verse 27. It says, these sons of Joseph, hold on, not 27, verse 26. So in Genesis 46 and 26. All the souls that came with Jacob into Egypt which came out of his loins, meaning from his seed, his sperm produced these. And then all of the sons that he has continues his loins or his lineage to make more of Jacob's seeds. Besides Jacob's wives, all the souls were 80. Score is 20. So you have 80, which is 3 and 20, which is 60 and 6. So that's 66. You understand? 80 and 6, 66. And then you count them, you count Jacob, you count them, and you get all of those. All right. So it said in Joseph's son, what does it says? And the sons of Joseph, which were born him in Egypt, were 2 souls. All the souls of the house of Jacob, which came into Egypt, were 80 and 10. So you got 80 and 10. 80 again and 10, that's 70. All right. So this is how we came into Egypt the first time. We were not in Egypt already. We are not Africans. We were never Africans. You understand? All right. And he sent Judah before him and unto Joseph to direct his face unto Goshen, and they came into the land of Goshen. All right. So now, this is how we came into Egypt. Now we are in Egypt. We're in Egypt. We're there. We're settling into Egypt. We're not living amongst the Egyptians. We live in our own land, in the land of Goshen. So we're there now. We go in there 70. Of course, we have our own land, our own cattle, our own water, our own everything. Next thing you know, we are multiplying. We have our own side of Egypt that's just us, and we are multiplying. You understand? We having sons, we having daughters. Just think of the children that the tribe of Isupk, the so-called Mexicans, the tribe of Ephraim, so-called Puerto Ricans, the tribe of Judah, before integration, before the Welfare Act, before, you understand, the feminist movement and the eugenics program, the tribe of Judah, who having families of 8 and 9 kids. Sisters having 8 and 9 kids and a job and a home and a husband. Huge, huge families. Brother have 2 kids, have a whole nother family on the other side of town. You come to the funeral, find out that you got 15, 16 different brothers and sisters. Y'all never even knew about each other, and y'all were born on different sides of town. Just never met each other. You understand? That's how we live when left to ourselves. That is why the Christian preacher, the Christian church, and America and that eugenics movement fought to make sure that black families became smaller and smaller to today. Sisters just murdered a damn baby, if 1 or 2 babies at all. You understand? We haven't made our families great again here in the Isupk, but under the oppression of America and the direction of the damn Christian church, which is the left hand of America, you understand, telling us to keep and love and cherish America's traditions and pray and honor and worship America and the God of America, which is their money. You understand? We got these little smaller and smaller to where we about 18 million in the hole from all these abortions since Roe versus Wade. But we didn't have that in the land of Egypt. All of the tribe of Gad, all of the so-called Hispanic tribes, the so-called Native tribes, the Seminole Native Americans, the tribe of Judah, so-called Negroes, so-called West Indians. We had all of our babies. We multiplied and multiplied and multiplied, which is exactly what we would do in any empire. That's why they have to flood drugs into our communities. That's why they have to kill us at traffic stops and turn us into drug addicts and take fathers out of the home and destroy the families. They have to do these things. Otherwise, we would multiply just like we did in Egypt, because they patterned America after Egypt. That's why if you go and you see the boxing matches, the matches are in Caesar's Palace. You understand? You go to downtown, any downtown area in America, you'll see Roman Colosseums and Roman columns. You understand? Roman architecture, all kind of different Roman steps, and just look just like ancient Rome. And they put that Roman eagle. That eagle is the symbol of the Roman Empire. It's the symbol of the nation of Edom. That's why the Germans, Hitler, and the Third Reich used that eagle. The Russians used the eagle. The Spain, The Spanish Armada used the eagle. The Portuguese, the conquistadors, the Roman legion used the eagle. That's their bird, and it talks about them using that eagle in Obadiah, in the Bible. That's the symbol. That top predatory bird is the eagle. That's our oppressive symbol on the back of your dollar, on your coins, on the post office, on the Senate, the seal of the U.S. Capitol, all of that. So now it's listed here in Exodus chapter 1. Now we're in Egypt. This is what happened in Egypt. All right. So now we go to Exodus chapter 1 and verse 6. It says, and Joseph died, and all his brethren and all their generation. We're in Egypt. We left. We're in Egypt. Joseph died. He passed on. All his brothers died. They passed on. All of those original fathers, those patriarchs, who today are the 12 tribes or the forefathers of the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. That's why we call brothers a Judite. You're the son of this brother named Judah, or a Levite, a Haitian, the son or daughter of that brother named Levi, a Simeonite, son of the brother, so-called Dominicans named Simeon or Shemaiwan or Zebulon, the brothers from Panama to Guatemala, from Guatemala to Panama, that's Central America, the tribe of Zebulon or Isupk, the tribe of Issachar, the so-called Mexicans, you understand, or Benjamin, so-called West Indians, you understand, or Asher, the brothers down in South America, from Colombia to Uruguay, most of South America, that tribe of Asher. That's why we call these names, because these are our forefathers. This is the heritage and the many generations that Deuteronomy talks about and Jeremiah talks about that we discontinued, that it's important to know and learn our heritage, that our fathers were supposed to teach us, but we could not because we went into slavery and we discontinued, and all we know is Christianity, you understand, the Roman Catholic Church in America, you understand, that's all we know. So that's why we're going over it here, so you can learn the heritage that we are recontinuing, that the Lord gave us. So now Joseph has died and all that generation in Egypt. Now we at verse 7, Exodus 1 and 7. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, meaning we had babies. We had lots and lots and lots and lots of babies, unhindered. Our own cattle, our own land, our own sheep, doing our own construction, building our own houses with our own water supply and our own land, the land of Goshen, completely separate from the Egyptians, from that other nation of people whose land we were on. You understand? And it said, and multiply and wax exceeding mighty. We got strong and strong. Brothers having sons, and brothers taking wives. And a brother got 2, 3 wives and 4 or 5 sons and 2, 3 daughters apiece. Now you got sheep. The sheep have wool. You got wool. You're making rope. You're making all kind of pots and clay. You understand? And all kinds of dishes, all kind of iron work and metal work, all the skills that we had and things that we did that set us apart from the so-called Africans when we were in Africa, which is why we built great empires there. And this is exactly how the Romans or the so-called Europeans knew exactly where to find us. Of course, the Africans helped them find us to put us on those slave ships because we had already been fighting them, and we settled on their land because we are not from Africa. You understand? Even though while we were there, we completely outclassed them in every way possible, just like we do to this very day, even though they have their heritage and their records, and we have lost everything about us, including our name, language, and identity, and yet and still we invent the laptop, the cell phone, the video game, the GPS, fiber optic cables for the internet, the caller ID, high speed, all of this. All of these inventions that the world benefits from comes from the children of Israel, comes from God's chosen people. That's why we have a series right here on this channel, No Cow, Isupk, Virginia, No Cow is Richmond. We have a series called The Former of All Things. And in that series, we highlight all of the inventions that we created that most people don't even know. An Hispanic brother made the color TV. Everybody would still be watching a black and white picture tube if not for this Hispanic brother that invented this, man. Like, we don't even know these things, and we learning them. Hey, shalom, just your break it down. We learning them because this is the heritage that the Lord wanted us to continue. All right. So now we in Egypt. It says now we multiplied, we mighty. We in Exodus 1:7, and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. They were afraid because it was so many of us, because they knew how cruel that they were treating us. In verse 8, it says, now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. This new Pharaoh didn't know Joseph. The hundreds of years of work, all of these things that Joseph did and his people to build up Egypt and make Egypt great. This new leader that comes to rule over Egypt doesn't know Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. They said, the Israelites are stronger than us. They bigger, it's more of them. Their sons are stronger. They're not weak and frail like us that don't eat meat and shave off all our beards and weak and all kind of blood diseases and sicknesses from the disgusting culture that the Egyptians had. These Israelites are stronger. They bigger, they stronger, they got more kids, they got power. They are way stronger than us, and we got to do something. Like, they were terrified of us, so they thought of cruel ways for them to try to destroy our people, just like America did. And he said, come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they also join unto our enemies. This is something that our people don't consider, which is war. Any people who loves their family, who loves their nation, they will consider who is around my people, who is influencing my people, who has access to my people, who lives on our land. Blacks and Hispanics is so simple and not understanding anything that you don't consider war. Every nation of people is considering when war breaks out. That's what free men think about. That's why America has an army, a navy, an air force, marines, a space military, a coast guard, because they are considering what will be necessary to protect my people. What if danger happens? Blacks and Hispanics don't consider danger. That's how some bastard kills 20 of our babies in an elementary school. We don't consider danger. That's why some bastard kills 20 of us in a goddamn grocery store. The God that we've been taught to worship is everything going to be all right. Everything going to be all right. Well, the murderer come up in church and kill 10 people because that's not real life. The lion is considering who the hell is in my territory. Who here is not a lion? Who's not a part of my pride? Who could be a threat to me or me ruling this land or my family? Those are things that a free man thinks about. A slave thinks about, I can just love everybody, and we could just sing, and we could just hug, and we could just kiss, and everybody, we just come together. We'll just all share. Nobody thinks that foolishness except for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I had to tell a Hispanic brother in the lift the other day, I had to tell the brother, he was like, I said, the Christian church does not teach us what God wants. Of course, I'm talking to the brother in Spanish, said the Christian church does not teach us what God wants us to know. Like in our school, we teach the truth about the Bible, that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are God's chosen people. And because we don't know God's rules, that separates us from God's protection. Like, that's why we don't understand. And as we're driving, we driving around, he driving the car, I'm talking to the brother, he asking a couple of questions, and he's like, oh, it's so many beautiful women out here. He telling me, of course, in Spanish, he's like, so many beautiful women. It's wonderful. It's black, it's black women and Asian and white women. I said, no. I said, no. He was like, huh? He was like, what? What's wrong? I said, no, the Lord got rules. Like, we got rules, like what we can and can't eat. Like what type of woman we can and can't be with. He said, no, it's not good. I said, no, that's not good. That make God angry. And he was like, the brother, he couldn't understand it because all of his years of being a Christian, he had never been taught that God has rules over what type of woman he's allowed to like, what type of woman he is allowed to be with, to consider that, like, this is some woman I could talk to her. I could get down with her. He never had these type of rules. because these are the things that free men consider. This is how you not end up a slave. And as I'm explaining this to the brother, he's listening. He's like, okay, I said, that's why our people don't think about free men things. They would never accept you into their family. You would never open a Hispanic business in their Chinese community. You would never open your Mexican business in this white woman's community. And when you get a business, the people who own the business will be that Chinese woman. And he said, oh, you're right. You're right. I said, that's why they come and buy up our community, and then we have to move because we don't understand the rules. That's why when the Lord said in 1 Ezra 8:84, he said, ye shall never join with them, that your sons and daughters may eat the good things of the land, because the land won't belong to you and your family anymore. Now that you married the Chinese woman, or you married Karen, Karen is going to take the land. The Lord gonna kill you, but you're gonna make babies with Karen. Karen is going to bring in her family, and Karen's brothers are going to come to your neighborhood, and then they're going to change the price of the food and the water and the streets, and before you know it, you won't be able to live there, and Karen and her people will be jogging the dog with that ponytail flipping every damn where, and you'll be moving to another zip code. Like, that's how these things happen, and it's exactly why the Lord told us not to do it, and it's why we flourished in Egypt, because we were separate. You understand? We were separate, which is exactly what is showing here in the Bible. It says the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. Then a new leader rose up that didn't know anything about all the works that we did in Egypt. And he said that they're stronger than us. So give me Exodus chapter 1 and verse 10. True, give me Exodus 1 and 10, Buck the show. I think you muted, brother.
Oh,
try it one more time.
Can you hear me all right, sir?
It's a lie. Okay, go ahead now.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, you perfect. Go ahead. Exodus 1 and 10.
Book of Exodus chapter 1 verse 10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply.
That was their first concern, was we need to stop them from multiplying. That's what that whole agenda is, talking about abortion. If there were as many white women having abortions in America, as infertile as that white woman is, and as inferior as our oppressor's rod and his horrible sperm cells, as inferior and all the damn in vitro fertilization and extends and hymns and all the goddamn erectile low testosterone, all of this problems that our oppressor has, you understand, they are concerned that you will outnumber them, and we will. We will outbreed them 10 times out of 10. They could not keep up with the amount of children that Black, Hispanic, and Native American men and women could make in any period in time. They could not. You understand? And the Egyptians could not keep up with us either. And they understood that. That's why they said this. So keep going.
And it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us.
Now, why would they be concerned? This is why the words that's written in the Bible are so very important. Why would they be concerned about us joining another nation of people if we all Egyptians in here living this wonderful Egyptian life? Why would they be concerned? If we are the same just because we live on the land, these are the same silly slave concepts that they teach our brothers and sisters in the world, that we are from the continent, back home, the continent, like Africa is some united place. You understand? The Nigerians don't have anything to do. There's no such a people. That land is called Nigeria. I'm using that because they're the wealthiest country in Africa is Nigeria. You understand? The land is called Nigeria. When you get to the actual country, the people living in Nigeria, all of those people are not the same. They have different languages, they have different cultures, they live in different places, they have different history, different records, and they are not the same people. They're not all together, one united, we are all not, they're not the same at all. And it's not that way anywhere in Africa. North Africa is filled with Arabs and the descendants of the damn descendants of Turks, the descendants of Italians, of Turks, all kind of different things in North Africa. Africans, Arabs, they got so many different languages in Northern Africa. You understand? I went to college. I met Eden in college. One person I met, I think she was from Algeria, Tunisia, up in North Africa. She spoke English. She did not speak English yet. She spoke French, she spoke Arabic, and she spoke Spanish. And she was a damn Romanian. You understand? The land that you live in does not determine your identity. And that is a concept that only slaves believe that nonsense. Like if you go and you move to China or you go to Vietnam and the Vietnam War, and brothers go and make babies with the Vietnamese women there, which they should not, which they did. And now there's a section in the Vietnamese community that is not the regular Vietnamese. It's Vietnamese with afros that like to play basketball, that always are in trouble, that put too much salt in their food, that's just not quite as Vietnamese as the rest of the Vietnamese. And they got a whole damn town and city and village that the rest of the Vietnamese don't really deal with them. You understand? Like that's what's going to happen. That's what we don't understand. That's what happened to the sister Naomi Osaka. Well, her daddy went and made a baby with a Japanese woman, children of Ammon. And of course, out of all of the people in Japan, the one that's actually not Japanese, that's really a Haitian, she become the greatest damn tennis star that all of Japan has ever seen. And now she winning all the records at 20 years old. Because she is one of us, not because she's one of them. Like, they understood in Egypt that just because these people live in our land does not mean they're one of us. We're not all the same because we all bleed red. We're not all the Egyptians because we all live in Egypt. They understood that, and we understood that. And a part of, remember, the land is called Egyptos. We don't look at it as a people. Like the Lord said, let this mind be in you that is also in Christ. You understand? This is the mind that the Lord has been trying to put into our people through his Holy Spirit. This is why I'm teaching y'all this. So you can get this into your spirit and understand that they are looking at you like this is a potential enemy when we go to war. This is what they're saying. This is a potential threat to my people. Just like the hyenas look at the lions like they're a threat. The buffalo and the gazelle look at the cheetah like they're a threat. They look at the lions like they're a threat. They're not mixing and mingling and, we all from Africa, let's get together. That's why the Bible says every creature loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth according to kind. You understand? That's why that's how real life works. And in Egypt, this is why when the Greeks took over that land of Egypt, they said this entire place is nothing but slavery. And a part of their program, even though it wasn't considered slavery to us living in Egypt, we just lived in Egypt. Just like most of our people don't consider being here in America where the bulk of our tribes are, this is slavery. I go to work, I pay rent, I pay mortgage, I pay utilities, I pay for this, I pay for that, I pay for this. We don't consider that we're not supposed to be paying another nation of people for anything. The only reason that we are is because we're in slavery. They should not be promoting us to limit the amount of children. The first set of things that the Egyptians started to talk about with the children of Israel, once they got a new leader, he said, let us deal wisely with them. Hold on, let's get before where it says, the new king rose. He said, the children of Israel are more. That was their first issue. It's too many of them. They need to find a way to decrease our numbers. That is what an oppressor does. That's why before they could take off and start destroying us, they had to wipe out our reproductive abilities. They had to kill off our children, or they had to get us to kill off our children. We didn't think and accept what they wanted to do to decrease our numbers because we knew we weren't Egyptians. But here in America, our leaders tell us that we are Americans, and we accept their program for us to decrease our numbers with their excuse that, well, we all Americans. And we knew better because we were separate. This is why the Lord told us never to join another nation of people. You understand? And this is what the other nations of people are actually thinking about while we sitting there smiling, getting a Starbucks coffee for them or saying good morning because they the first period teacher at school. She's only working in this school district because if she do 5 years here, they're going to waive the rest of her damn, student loan debt. Or they ain't good enough to work amongst their own people, so they come and get a job with our people. You understand? Like we got to train. The Bible says that life is about warfare. We got to train and prepare for warfare. We are behind our enemy's lines. You understand? And that's how the Egyptians looked at us, and that is what Joseph taught us. You understand? Before he left. That's why we lived in a separate place, not mixed with the Egyptians. You understand? So now, he said the children of Israel, is more of them, and they're stronger than us. So because they're stronger than us, we have to do something to decrease their numbers, and we have to do something to make them weaker. Because this is a war tactic. Putting Planned Parenthood in the Black community, Hispanic communities, is a war tactic. Someone opening their mouth telling a sister that she has a right to even choose to murder the baby, that is a war tactic. You understand? Killing your baby is called infanticide. Killing off our babies, man. We wasn't killing our babies like this in slavery. They take our babies and sell them all over the damn world. We still weren't killing our babies like this. All right. So keep going. Right from there.
Khan. And so Slaki. And so get them up out of the land.
Get them out of the land. Why are they saying to get them out of the land? I thought we all lived here, we together. The same reason that Donald Trump became president. Because really, they're tired of seeing you in their stores every day. They hate the fact that they only have wealth because they sell you chicken. They're tired of hearing your accent. They're tired of seeing your hair. They're tired of seeing you buying products from their store. Even though the products that we buy make them rich, so they can get their vans and their BMWs and finance their other businesses, that they never have to go to school and get a business degree to start a business. You talk to black kids in college, what are you in school for? I'm in school for business administration. Go down to that corner store, go down to that dry cleaners, go down to that carryout, Mama Sung's, the Peking, or the Yellow Dragon. Go down there and ask them what degree from what university did they get to open up this carryout. Go talk to those Ethiopians and speak to them at the fufu spot and all of this. What school did you get your degree from? Because my son is in college right now to get a business administration degree for $100,000 goddamn dollars in student loan debt. But I see you have a store and a business. Can you tell me what degree did you get your business with? What university did you go to? Where'd you get your degree from? Did you go to Morehouse or Coppin State or VSU or Xavier or Lincoln or Cheney? What school did you go to? JMU, ODU, Christopher Newport? You understand? James Madison? What school did you go to? They didn't go to any school. They didn't need a degree. They didn't need student loan debts. They had guaranteed businesses amongst their people who don't look at them being there as a threat. They don't look at them as another race of people selling me food. They don't look at that as a problem. They don't look at the fact that I'm not one of them. They don't look at that as a problem because their leaders have taught them to accept everybody, which is a war tactic. That's destructive to your people. Just as destructive as it would be to teach sheep to not look at the wolf as a threat. Or if you're a lion, or if you're a buffalo, to teach your fellow buffalo to not look at the lions as a threat. The Egyptians was not going to do that. They say it's too many of them. They big as hell. They strong as hell. They dunk a basketball over a car. Look how big he is. Look how big he is. Look how big his sons is. That man got 8 sons. He got 8 sons. He got 8 sons from one woman, and he's got 4. It's too many of them. We got to get them out of the land. They don't want us in their neighborhood. They don't want us in their schools. They want you to entertain. Sing for me, dance for me, act for me, star in my favorite movies. Dance, sing, catch the ball, shoot the ball, kick the ball, punch for me. I want to go out and hang with the guys, serve my beers, build my cities, wash my this, build my that. Like that is what the other nations of people. They don't want you in their neighborhood, in their family. You understand? They don't want that. They just want the benefits that's going to come from exploiting you because we do not understand these things that the Lord has been trying to teach us since the book of Genesis. The new Pharaoh rose up and immediately he was like, we got to start killing them and get them out of our land. Immediately. He didn't say make a deal with them. He didn't say let's talk to them. Now, this is his strategy of how he's going to destroy us. This is what it means to be in bondage. So keep reading.
Verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens.
Taskmasters to afflict them with their burden. The taskmasters on the plantation, the taskmaster in many cases was one of your own people. In many cases is one of your own people that work for the company. And their job is to make sure that they are afflicting you in your burden, to make your job more difficult. That's their job. Why are they cutting time off of your lunch? Why are they doing that? Why are they cutting this? Why are they cutting this? Why do they keep make you have to re-register for the goddamn health care every year? They change it just to make things more and more difficult all the time. Like they created a system to where you are not working and completing a job. They created a system to where now you are in slavery under oppression to complete a task for the empire. Because we were separate to ourselves, but we still building their empire. Just us being there is making them rich. They aren't farmers. So if anybody wants to eat sheep or cattle or anything, they're getting it from us. We doing their agriculture just like we are here in America. The tomatoes, the strawberries, the grapes, the onions, the Hispanics in the field picking that fruit, picking those vegetables. That's why if it was a white man picking his own fruits and cranberries and vegetables, then the tomato would be $10 instead of $2. The pack of onions wouldn't be $3. It'd be $11 because white men had to pick it. But if you take 100 Hispanic brothers and sisters of the tribe of Zebulon and Issachar, and you put them in a field and you starve them to death and you give them a basket and you tell them you can stay and we'll give you $1 for 90 pounds of whatever you pick, then they'll go and work and harvest your whole 40, 50 acres of onions and strawberries and grapes, and then you can sell them for $2, $3 a pound, and then it's the economy. It's the supermarket. It's produce. Nobody knows that you dying in the damn field without a bathroom or a clean drink of water, you understand, in a goddamn open plantation in Georgia somewhere. Nobody knows that. They just know the grocery store is full. And this is how Egypt ran, and this is why when the Greeks took over Egypt under Ptolemy, Mark Antony, Cleopatra, those are white people. Those are Greek babies. And when they took over Egypt, When they took over Egypt, this is what they said. The land of Egypt wasn't known as Egypt before. It was called Mizraim, if you look in the Bible, or Montezorium. Yum means plural. There was an upper Egypt and a lower Egypt. You understand? So now, let's keep going.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities.
And now the taskmasters they're looking for a way to honor Pharaoh, looking for a way to make the empire greater. We building up, getting strong, having our families, our cattle, our crops. We living in perfect harmony. We doing our own thing in our own area. They leave their area to now come to where we are. They have a problem with us. We are separate. And they're looking to afflict us in what we are already doing. They're looking for ways to hurt us. And they're going to tell you what they're coming up with. They want, and this is something that's it's so very sad, and it's so very negligent on the part of our leaders, and it's so why this job for every officer, every brother, every brother aspiring to be an ISUPK, to become a trooper, every trooper aspiring to become an officer, and every officer aspiring to perfect your office here in the ISUPK. This is why it's so very important that our people do not realize that the other nations of people are looking to hurt you. They're looking to hurt you. And we don't realize what is hurting us. We don't understand it. We don't have a concept of love or right or wrong or good or evil. Our concept of things and how we think and how we face and recognize life is based on the understanding that we got from our oppressor. It's not based on trying to have life as our people, because we've discontinued from our heritage. The only thing that we learned how to do was be white men. You understand? And this is what we teach our people to unlearn, to have the mind that the Lord wants us to have. So let's keep going.
Pithom and Ramses.
It says start 11 from the top.
Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to affect them with their burdens.
To afflict them.
Salakia, sir. To afflict them with their burdens.
To hurt them. Meaning they already have a job, but now I'm going to assign someone to make your job more difficult. To afflict you. You understand? To make it more strict, more stringent. Not to help you do the job. You're already doing the job. And because they set up taskmasters, how can they make me richer? See, in America, we set up our own businesses. We set up our own towns on the black side of town. Many times it was by the swamp. Many times it was by the cemetery, the land where no one wanted to live. That's why the ghetto, the projects is usually, and the black community was mostly on the other side of the tracks. The term was, he's from the rough side of the tracks. That's what the term was, depending on how old y'all are. Y'all might have never heard it, but that was the term. He's from the rough side of the tracks. The ghetto, you understand? The hard side, the side where there's less resources, the less favorable property. You understand? That's the other side of town. You understand? That's where the cemetery is, where the train tracks are, where the roads are not paved, where the grass is not cut, people dumping, throwing their trash, the less desirable part. Well, we took those parts and we made our own cities. Then we took and made our own schools. Then we made our own colleges. That's why they're called historically black universities, because historically we made centers for economic excellence for our own. And then once we stopped doing that, then we joined our oppressors, and now we think like them. You understand? So this is what he's saying. And as they afflict us with our burdens, because we got these big families, because there's so many of us, they are not happy for us in our success the way that we are happy for them in their success. They're not cheering for us for our success the way that we cheer for them in their success. They're not saying, oh, they had more babies. Yay, look at their families. They're getting strong. Like all the simple sisters on TikTok and say cheering on all the oppressors and all of their babies and their advancements. Every nation is in competition for resources. Every nation is in competition against each other. And our people don't understand that concept, but the Egyptians did. And this is why the Lord has these things written aforetime for our learning, like it says in the scriptures. So keep going.
And they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pithom and Ramses.
Pithom and Ramses, treasure cities. It's not a town, meaning this whole city is just for a treasure, just for filled with treasure, riches, filled with wealth and power, filled with beauty, majesty. We build treasure cities, just like Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, and Rome. All of the things that our oppressors have, we built those things for them. They did not build them for themselves. We built them in captivity, in slavery, you understand? And they set up a system to make sure that they were able to oppress us further because they saw that we were prospering. That's why they burned down our homes, burned down our businesses, burned down our towns. They needed to oppress us because if we let them alone, then they would take over. They're smarter, they're faster, it's more of them. Their women are more fertile, they're more alive than we are. The Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women, they lively. That's what they said when they told us to kill our babies. They having way more babies than we are. You understand? This is what every empire would be concerned about. And it's the same thing that America. That's why America rebuilt Egypt. This is what they were concerned about. So keep going.
Verse 12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew.
The more they kept hurting us. The more they kept hurting us. They kept afflicting us. They did everything that they could think of to hurt us more and more, make our jobs harder. We normally do in the building, they say, all right, now I need you to start at 5 a.m. Like, God damn, 5 a.m. Like, all right, I need you to get here at 6. I need you to start at 5. We need mandatory overtime now. I know you're supposed to get off at 8, but we can't let you go at 8. Now you get off at 10. I know that you teaching your kids well. We're gonna make a mandatory schooling, so now your kids aren't with you. Your kids belong to the state for 11 hours a day. But what about my farm? What about my businesses? What about all these cattle, these sheep I got? You're gonna have to stop all that sheep and that cattle. You're gonna have to be at work. Your kids gonna have to be at school. You understand? Y'all got too much time on your hand anyway. It's too much of you. Y'all making too much babies. You understand? Sound like the Christian church. There's too many of y'all anyway. Y'all need to do more work instead of sitting around making babies all the time. You need to do more work. Sound familiar? Sound familiar? I remember preachers saying this for decades, straight out of the rehearsal of America. Same thing the Egyptians are saying. They having too many babies. They too strong. It's too many of them. We need to make their lives harder. Stop giving them all this time off. Pharaoh asked for a 3-day weekend. They said, you can't go. He came back and said, let my people just worship the God in the wilderness. He was like, no, you got to leave your children and your cattle and your wives. Like, they found a way to make our lives more miserable, to oppress us with their laws, with their rules, with the power that they have. Meanwhile, everybody looking at the stupid pyramids talking about, oh, Egypt, oh, Kemet, and Ra'ah, and Ma'at, and Osiris, and Horus. They're not talking about brothers getting starved to death in the ghetto, having their families fall apart under the oppression that the Egyptians is doing. That's the same thing they talk about America. Hollywood, Universal Studios, Netflix, Hulu, what else? New York City. They ain't talking about the NYPD choking brothers to death on the street, beating brothers, stripping, searching sisters' foot on the side of the damn highway. You understand? They ain't talking about that. They just talking about how wonderful the empire is. You understand? So keep going.
And they were grieved because of the children of Israel.
It said we kept having the babies. They were sad that we weren't dying. They did these things in hopes that we would die. They figure if we make life hard enough, they're going to stop having babies. They won't be so strong. They'll be too tired from the work. Their families, they'll be more irritable. They spend less time together. They won't be able to control their children. They knew that for a purpose. That's why it's written this way. They did these things for a purpose to make our lives harder so that they could destroy us as a people. You understand? They are waging war against us, and we don't realize it. That's why the Lord had to raise up Moses to teach our people what was going on. Our people wouldn't realize it. Said, well, I was going to be able to retire. I've been working down here, 20, I've been working down here 15 years, 10 years. I was going to retire. But they talking about now you can't retire after 10 years. They say you got to do 20 years to retire. They say you got to do 25 years to retire. They say I got to be 50 to retire now. Why we got to be all of this money they making, all of this wealth, all of this gold in these cities that we built? Why we got to work another 20 years, 30 years? Now it was 50. Now it was 55, 60, 62, 65. Now they saying you might not be able to retire at all. You still going to need to work. You won't be able to afford it. Damn, why did the rent go up again? Damn, the mortgage went up. They said we got to pay for water now? Water come out the sky? Why are we paying for water? The sun gives energy for electricity. Why are we paying for electricity? Yeah, man, they changed the rules up. Yeah, man. They said we got to pay for the school now. I thought that's what we was doing. They said, no, you got to pay now. It costs more. We got new taxes. They got to fix the roads. They don't fix none of our roads. You know that. No, they say taxes went up. They just oppressing us more and more and more. And they doing this on purpose. You understand? So keep going.
Verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel serve with rigor.
Rigor. What's rigor? What does rigor mean? Let's get the definition of that word rigor. What does rigor mean? What does it mean? Let's get that. What does rigor mean? You understand? Rigor. Merriam-Webster's dictionary. Pull that trooper up, Taza. What does it mean when it said the children of Israel? You got it?
Like it, sir. Harsh inflexibility in opinion, temper, or judgment.
Inflexibility and harsh. Keep going.
The quality of being unyielding or inflexible.
Give me
severity of life.
They made it severe. You understand? No days off. We ain't giving you no maternity leave. You're making too many damn kids as it is. Get back to work. You're injured. You better get to work. If you don't show up, I don't give a damn what happened. I'm taking your job. We docking your pay. You got hurt on the job, doesn't matter. We docking your pay. You better if you can't make bricks, then you don't get paid. We ain't giving no leave. We ain't doing no health care. Ain't no time off. Mandatory overtimes. We switching for an 8-hour work day to a 12-hour work day. And I need everybody need to get in here earlier. If you can't make the new shift, we're going to fire you. Lunches are being cut. No more 45-minute lunch. Lunch is now 20 minutes. You got a problem, get another goddamn job. So all y'all do is complain and make babies. Tired of hearing you whine all the time. No more free parking either. You got to pay to park now. You don't pay the ticket, we docking your pay. Giving you a ticket, we towing your car. You understand? Like making it harder and harder and strict and cruel. What was this? Well, I wasn't feeling good that day. You were supposed to make 15 of these. You only made 12. I know, I'll make it up tomorrow. No, you won't make it up tomorrow. We docking your pay. If you ever do this again, we're going to fire you. They made it cruel, strict and hard and cruel. You understand? As oppressive as they could possibly be, they're trying to break us. That's what they were trying to do. That's what America is doing. It said, ye shall have a yoke of iron upon you. That's what our oppressors are doing. They're trying to break us. This is to take away your strength. Then they take and put a sodomite in charge of you. Put the sodomite in charge. He's sashaying and switching and shiny and all greased up and pink and acting like a goddamn woman. And you're supposed to be in there and not say anything. He show up to the damn slavery. You in there, the two niggas in there with beards in there kissing. You supposed to just act like nothing going on. You go to pick up your kids from school. Some sodomite in a miniskirt is in there talking about it's trans reading day. You understand? Sitting there in a miniskirt and lipstick, dressed like RuPaul, with a big, bright, colorful wig on, teaching your kids about adult-child sexual relationship. It's nothing wrong. Jimmy's daddy touches him at night. That's what they would make it rigor, and you can't say nothing. You can't do nothing. If you say something, you're fired. You say anything, you're speaking hate. That's why you got to come in the Isupk, because we say something. We say stuff in here. We say a lot of things. We say what the Lord once said. But this is what the Egyptians were doing. So keep going.
Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service, wherein they made them serve, was with rigor.
They made them serve. Mortar, brick, that's construction. They got the children of Israel doing construction in Egypt, building entire cities. Service of the field, what's in the field? Your crops is in the field. The cattle is in the field. The sheep is in the field. Your food, your vegetables, your agriculture, the cotton, if you're making clothes. Your sugar cane is in the field. Everything is in that field. Open fields, plantations, whatever is in a field. The children of Israel are working those fields, not those Egyptians. It's our people that's feeding the empire. Mind you, the other nations of people is getting wealth and riches and help from Egypt. Egypt is the superpower. We in Egypt, because it was a famine in our land. It just so happened that one of our brothers was running Egypt, making their empire prosperous. And the heathen gave him power to set up his own people in the land. But when other countries have trouble, what do? They come to America. They have a hurricane, they got a flood, a mudslide, cholera breaks out, the damn COVID breaks out. Who are they calling? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, the Corps of Engineers, the rescue team, World Peace, the Health Organization, United Nations. They calling for help from the superpower. Well, where did America get their ability to help from? They got it from the money from selling slaves, from the companies that they started selling us for hundreds of years, the inventions that we created that made them rich, the cotton that we picked to make a world economy based on clothes made from cotton. You understand? The world economy based on sugar cane. Sugar, all of the world's sugar was being picked by the Benjamites. The brothers in the French colonies, and down in Brazil, the Brazilian sugar cane fields, the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Asher. That's where you get your teas, your breads. You can't hardly go in the grocery store and find something that doesn't have sugar in it. The bread has sugar. The unsweetened things have sugar in it. The coffee, the juice, the sodas, the cereal, the grains, the bread, the grits, everything got damn sugar in it. Everything. And all of the sugar was under monopoly damn near by the French, because they had the tribe of Benjamin in slavery. Like their wealth, the riches that is now going to go to help another nation of people that made them a superpower, comes from them oppressing us. You understand? And that's exactly how America is. Everything that America has from oppressing our people. Keep going.
Verse 15. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other was Puah.
Right. poor. Shipra
Poor.
and poor. So now they already trying to get us to stop having children. They trying to make our lives as miserable as possible. They see that didn't work. They set up the taskmasters. They make our jobs harder. They forcing us to make cities for them and working in their construction sites, building up their damn pyramids, all them pyramids everywhere, all of their cities and roads. We working in the field. Their whole agriculture is coming off of our backs. All the 12 tribes. They see it's not working, they go to plan B. They worked us to death in the field. Now they're going to go to plan C. Keep going.
Verse 16. And he said, when ye do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew woman.
To who?
To the Hebrew woman.
To all the women. To who?
To the Hebrew woman.
He's saying to the Hebrew women. Why is he saying to the Hebrew women? Why is he saying that? Because them probably not going to be the only women that you're doing the midwife job for. That's why he's saying it. He want to make it clear to the Hebrew women. He said to the Hebrew midwives, when you do the office to a Hebrew woman, keep going.
And see them upon the stools.
See them upon the stools. The stool is talking about the birthing stool. Now the oppressor is such a dummy. He got sisters trying to have a baby, pushing up against gravity, trying to push a baby out against gravity, as opposed to her working with gravity to deliver the baby. You understand? Which is how we did it. That's why it's here in the Bible, which would be so much easier trying to get something out of you working with gravity as opposed to pushing against it. But our oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. He's a damn caveman. He don't know anything. You understand? But keep going. When you do the midwives, when you help and deliver the Hebrew babies, keep going.
If it be a son,
if it's a boy,
then ye shall kill him.
You should do what?
Ye shall kill him.
Abortion. Do what?
Ye shall kill him.
Infanticide. Kill that baby. You should kill him. There's too many of y'all as it is. We don't need no more males. Big and strong as hell. Keep making more of your. We tired of you niggas. We need to get less and less of you, not more. The last thing we need is more of your babies, more sons that can keep making more of you. We trying everything we can to get rid of you. We try to work you to death. It doesn't work. We try to take away your free time. It doesn't work. We make your life miserable. It doesn't work. Now we go into plan D. Just kill the damn baby. Just kill it. If it's a boy, kill him. This is what the king of Egypt said to the Hebrew midwives. Keep going.
But if it be a daughter,
if it's a girl,
then she shall live.
Why did he say if it be a girl? If it be a daughter, she shall live. Why did he say that? Who knows why he said that? This is what every heathen understands. The only people that's dumb enough, that's simple enough, that is enslaved enough to believe that some revolution is going to start with mommy is a slave. Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, understood this, that if it's nothing left but women, women will need someone to control them. Women, they can be married to the empire. And if we kill off your men, then we'll have the perfect secretary. We'll have the perfect one to fill our religious temples if we get rid of your men. Because instead of them being at home, serving their husbands and serving their fathers and being wives and giving birth to y'all children, you understand? The man carries the seed. That's correct. So we get the benefit of your people. She's going to make all the inventions. She's going to work in our hospitals. She's going to work in our offices. She'll be our astronauts. She'll be our inventors, our scientists, and she will be able to take care of the kids that are already here. But what she won't be able to do is keep the nation strong. She won't be able to be in charge of that family, and the heathen understood this. She won't be able to secure that community And the heathen understood this. She won't be able to stop us from coming to do whatever we want. She won't have the mindset to understand the laws that we are passing are racist and to destroy her people. All we have to do is tell her she's a diva. She's a goddess. She a boss. She a queen. She a bad bitch. That's all we got to do. And in her vanity, she'll be puffed up, and we'll let her. You'll tell her, put on the cover of a magazine, let her show off her tail. You understand, and show off her breasts, and let her sing and put her naked on the stage, and she'll feel like she's the goddamn queen of heaven. And then before you know it, we'll be able to use her as the model to turn the rest of her women into whores. And we'll use her as the model to turn the rest of the wives into divas. So then nobody listen to their man. You don't tell me what to do, because she now she'll be married to the empire. She'll be married to America. She'll be married to her job. She'll be married to her degree. She'll be married to Pharaoh. She'll be married to the Pledge of Allegiance. And then we'll create a religion so that instead of her having an actual relationship with her man, she can fill it with a career, her religion, her beliefs, and in any little vanity, and we can wipe out your entire people while you still think you're a part of the empire. If you just get rid of and start killing off those sons. This is the evil that the Egyptians were doing to us, and this is the exact evil that America is doing to us right now. And they could not have done it without the same religious leaders that the Lord put to death in Numbers, the 16th chapter, because they came up against Moses. The only reason that this happened is because they didn't have a United States and a democracy in Pharaoh. The same wicked leaders that worked with Pharaoh to oppress our people, that's who came up against Moses in the wilderness, because they had been given power to help afflict our people. That's why I said they set upon them taskmasters to afflict them in their burden. People who would help speak evil and blame you for your condition. Look at him. He won't get no job. Look how lazy he is. All he want to do is just sit around and make babies and talk to women. Meanwhile, you planned with Egypt to kill off his father. You planned to work his father to death in the field, to afflict them in all manner of bondage and service in the field until he died or until he just flipped the hell out. The empire planned to do this. You understand? This is why the Lord killed them Egyptians and drowned them and killed their firstborn and wiped out their military in the Red Sea. They were disgusting, diabolical monsters to our people. And it's such a terrible thing. It's such a disrespect and a dishonor for black people to still talk about Egypt in Africa like it was something so great and wonderful, not realizing that they did worse to us than what the damn white man is doing at their time. Now, of course, the white man has surpassed what they have did, but they have built the Egyptian empire doing the exact same thing. That's why the Bible says in Ecclesiastes, the 3rd chapter, there is nothing new under the sun. Everything happens in cycles. That's why if you can understand the Bible, which the Lord gave us the prophets to teach us the Bible, you will always know what's coming next. America coming for a fall. This is how the Roman Empire fell. When they got into the height of their sexual exploitation and their child molestation, and all of them trying to have their one world bring in everything, that wiped out the damn empire. That's exactly where America's headed right now. You understand? So they told the sisters to kill all of the babies of your people. Don't kill the Egyptian babies. Kill the babies, the sons of your people. Keep going.
Kind of want to comment. Verse 17. But the midwives feared God and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them.
Now, if they believed that they were Egyptians, and then the Egyptians' God and the Egyptians' religion serving Ma'at and serving Nut and Horus and Isis and Geb, like you nuts in that damn conscious community, the Captain Zaryak and Captain Katazar been crushing and turning into powder for the last decade. If they believed the same foolishness you did, they would have thought that this was for the best of Egypt and killed off their babies. realizing, thinking that this is what's best for us, listening to them. The same way that Reverend Jesse Jackson told black women that Planned Parenthood in our communities is what's best for us if you're not ready to have a child. And it could have never went over without the Christian church. Jesse Jackson would have never had the influence he had if he wasn't Reverend Dr. Jesse Jackson. Same with Reverend Al Sharpton and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. It would have never worked without the same religious leaders who are the political leaders who have always been in charge of our people until the Lord rose up the prophets and then he killed them. Then our people could get free. You understand? This is how the cycles have always gone. You understand? They didn't listen to Pharaoh. Keep going.
But save the men children alive.
They saved them boys, man. They weren't killing no babies. They said, you tell Pharaoh, bring his ass down here and kill a baby. I ain't killing no baby. Tell Pharaoh, Pua down in Ward 6 says she ain't killing no babies. If Pharaoh want to kill some babies, tell Pharaoh, get off of his throne, bring that Brad down here and tell him come kill some of these babies. I'm holding a baby right now. Tell Pharaoh, come down here and take this baby from me. That's what happened. Keep going.
Verse 18. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said,
the king of Egypt want to know why ain't nobody following my orders. He called for them. So what the hell y'all got going on down there? I'm hearing all these reports of these babies being born. You understand? And this is why blacks and Hispanics and Native Americans never want to fill out them goddamn census forms. This is why we've never wanted to fill out them forms and that paperwork. Who lives here? How many is doing this? And how many? And who's staying here? And who's there? And how many occupants? We ain't never wanted to fill out them damn forms because we never trusted them because everybody was trying to kill us and take our family apart. You understand? All throughout the Bible, every heathen has sought to do this to us. Keep going.
And said unto them, why have ye done this thing?
Why did you do this?
And have saved the men children alive.
Think of how disgusting a bastard he was. Do you know what he just asked them? I want to see who's paying attention. Hey, Shalom, Baltimore, Chip Shepard, big man. Who here understands the question that this piece of filth just asked the midwives? Do y'all understand what he just read that again from the top to that point and stop right there again.
Sir. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing and have saved the men children alive?
Let's get the definition of that word midwife. Let's see what that actually means. Let's get that definition. Pull up that the Webster's dictionary. Let's get it. See, it can be common. That's why the definition of words is so very important. Trained under Commandant General Yohana, the definitions of the words that you are being taught, the words that you hear in the scriptures, it is so very important for you to understand what the words mean that are being said. They're there for a reason. It's not by accident that a word is being used over and over again. All of these words matter. That's why special emphasis is to be put on words like if, and but. You understand? Give me the definition of a midwife. Read that for me.
Sir. A person who assists women in childbirth.
That's it. A person who assists women in childbirth.
The second definition, sir, says one that helps to bring, one that helps to produce or bring forth something.
That's Webster's dictionary.
Sir.
All right. Bear with me just a moment. It's a little bit more. Assist women in childbirth. All right. That's what it is now. Okay. Now, let's look up a midwife. Let's see what a midwife is here. This midwife was not no light job or light task. We did so many things as a nation that it did not seem to be, because we are such a people that is so skilled and we did so much, it can be overlooked what exactly we were doing. I'm going to read what a midwife is now. And this is what it always was. I'm going to read what it is now. A midwife is a health professional who cares for mothers and newborns around childbirth, specialization known as midwifery. The education and training for a midwife concentrates exclusively, let me get the rest of this, because this isn't just, you know, the sister pregnant, I'm going to be there with her while she delivered the baby. That's not what this is. That's not what this is. It's a healthcare professional who cares for mothers and newborns around childbirth, meaning this is their profession. They didn't just wake up one day and just say, hey, we helping sisters deliver their babies today. That's what we're going to do. No, this is something you got trained for, something you probably went to school for, something you studied for. You got practices, you got exams. Sisters have tons of babies. We make tons of babies in the Isupk. That sister pregnant, she going into labor, she delivering the baby. You got to be taught, you got to know what to do. You understand when to do this, what advice to make, how to check this, the temperatures, the baby in distress, all kind of things that's going on in that childbirth. This is not just two sisters that help out. You understand? These are healthcare professionals whose job it is to care for pregnant mothers, newborns, assisted. This is the team that is helping you deliver the baby when you go to the hospital. Midwifery. Education and training concentrates extensively on the care of women throughout their lifespan, concentrating on being experts in what is normal and identifying conditions that need further evaluations. This is a medical healthcare professional. This is not just two women that decided, we're going to go down to the, wherever the sisters is pregnant and we're going to help them, help them deliver their babies. This disgusting king of Egypt, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, called for women who were medical health care professionals, that they went and studied and made a career off of helping sisters deliver their babies. And this piece of garbage said to them, why didn't you kill those babies the way that I said? This is what that piece of garbage asked them. You understand? Hey, shalom, brother. Y'all should break it down. Make sure you sign in for attendance on Instagram so we can get you in there, all right? Reddit, you do the same thing, okay? Read that scripture one more time, Bubba Shaw.
Come, verse 18. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives and said unto them, why have ye done this thing and have saved the men children alive?
They said, I know that you are medical professionals, and this has been your career of delivering babies, your career of assisting pregnant mothers, your career of newborn care. That's what a midwife is. This is a medical professional. And they asked him, why didn't you kill these babies? That's what they asked him. This is why America has gone beyond Egypt. The medical professional, they killing them babies now. They got their own separate place where you go kill the baby. It's called Planned Parenthood. And they are medical professionals. Medical professionals that are skilled, and it is their job. They come to work so that they can help the Hebrew women kill their children. That's exactly what's going on right now in America. Except these sisters didn't love the empire. They didn't love America. They didn't love Egypt. And because they did not love Egypt, they loved their own. And even though they got an order from the president of Egypt, that's like Joe Biden telling the sister she worked in the birthing chamber and the assistants, she worked helping deliver babies. Joe Biden come and give you an order to kill off any male child that's born to a Black, Hispanic, or Native American woman, kill that baby when that baby come out. That's what Pharaoh just said. And now America, because we have been taught to join our oppressors, it's legal to do this here. But when these sisters realized that they were not Egyptians, they weren't one with the empire, they said, ain't no way in the hell I'm killing our babies. You out your goddamn mind. But now, think of the mindset that our sisters have now. They go willingly and pay for it and kill the baby. They call it health care. Needing to be able to go and take a butcher knife and ginsu a baby to death. Take a pair of scissors and cut and stab and rip and pull the baby apart piece by piece like you take apart the goddamn transmission on your car. That's what's happening to our babies here in America. That's what sisters do to their babies here in America. And these sisters refuse to do it, even though Pharaoh taught them. You make sure you bring this up the next time some idiot wants to talk about how great and wonderful ancient Kemet was, how wonderful Egypt was. They failed to mention about killing off our babies. So keep going. What did the sister say?
Verse 19. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women.
They said, we not your goddamn Egyptian women. We ain't one of you people. We the Hebrew women. I'm not no damn Egyptian woman. I'm not an African. You don't tell us to kill our babies. We not the same. Who the hell do you think you are? She checking Pharaoh. They said, I'm not one of you. We not the same people. They said the Hebrew women ain't like the Egyptian women. You understand? We ain't the same. That's what the sisters told Pharaoh to his face. You understand? Keep going.
For they are lively.
We alive in here.
That's and are
go ahead.
And are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them.
They said the Hebrew women are not like the Egyptian women. We are lively. That's what the word kaya means. It means to be alive, full of vigor, full of life, full of excitement. That's the Hebrew women. They're not like the Egyptian women. That's what Eve means. Eve is kaya in the Hebrew. I don't know where the hell Eve comes from, but kaya is what Eve's name is in Hebrew. That means to be alive, to make alive, to be filled with life and vigor. He said the Hebrew women are lively. We ain't like these African women. We're not the same as them. There's not one Butu here. There's Shipra and Pua. All right. They told Pharaoh off. They said, we're going to deliver every baby that comes to us. Said, we delivered whoever air baby come here, we're going to deliver them. Talking about kill some baby. Out your goddamn mind. I'm going on my lunch break. That's what they told Pharaoh. Keep going.
Verse 20. Therefore God dealt with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mightily.
The people multiplied. They steadily coming. They steadily trying to kill us. They make our lives miserable. They got us doing forced mandatory labor. We building their cities. We work in their fields. They trying to oppress us. They are oppressing us. They hire sellouts to make our lives harder, to make it look like we are the problem being lazy, just on the black side of town, just keep making kids and want all these breaks. You understand? Then on top of that, they tell our own women to kill the babies. Our medical professionals that are in charge of our health care, they tell them to kill off our babies. The sisters don't do it. Skip me down to verse 20.
Salaki, so that was a verse I just read.
Salaki, 22. Salaki.
Verse 22. And Pharaoh charged all his people.
Hold on. Read that again. Pharaoh charged who?
All his people.
All his people. That's important. That's an emphasis. That's showing anything showing ownership in the scriptures. That's very important. Pharaoh charged his people because he already went to the Hebrews. He saw that we weren't on the same team as him. So now he's going to tell his people to go and get the job done. Keep going. Read it again. Show.
Kanawakan. And Pharaoh charged all his people,
Mm-hmm.
saying, every son that is born ye shall cast into the river.
They said, we're going to just take the sons, go and take the babies from the mothers and throw them into the damn river. This gets looked over a lot in Egypt. When everybody talking about how great Egypt is, Egypt, they failed to mention this. This is why the Lord killed them Egyptians and drowned them in the Red Sea. This is why they got plagued until they died with horrible hemorrhoids and leprosy and sores, and the Lord turned their river into blood and made everybody sick to the point they vomited and defecated on themselves until they died. This is why. After we make their cities, we make their streets, we pick their cotton, we in their fields doing all kind of work in the field. We, the workforce that's making their empire great, they telling them to kill off the workforce. And then the sisters wouldn't do it, so they say, all right, we just going to send the Egyptian army through and you just going to kill the babies your damn self. We ain't playing with these people no more. Kill the babies. That's how Moses ended up being sent in a basket up the river. Otherwise, they would have killed and drowned Moses in the goddamn river. You understand? This is what they did to us, and this is exactly what our oppressor did here. He would take black babies and throw them in the river. They called them alligator babies. In New York City, they have a picture. It's like a bronze memorial. It's not a memorial, but it's like a bronze statue of a baby in the mouth of an alligator. You can look this up right now, and you'll see a baby in the mouth of an alligator. It might be even coming out of the sewer, where they had alligator babies, alligator bait. They would use our babies, take the babies from the slave woman, put it in the water on a rope, let the baby splash around and cry, halfway drown. The alligator, of course, would come and eat and rip the baby to shreds. They would then kill the alligator, drag him in, gut him, kill him, do whatever, turn him into a pair of luggage, some shoes, some belts, and then they get alligator skin. Well, that's what they would do. Alligator babies. You can look up alligator babies too. You understand? That's in there. It said Ecclesiastes chapter 10 and verse 8 through 14. Like, this is what happened. We might have to get that next week. Let me see if we got time for that. But this is what happened. This is just some backdrop. Of course, we know the Lord raised up Moses, and that wasn't even the end of it. They doing everything that they could. That wasn't even the end of it. Moses ends up getting saved, being raised after his mother puts him in the damn water. You understand? His mother puts him in the water and sends him down the river while the rest of the sisters' babies is getting killed. If you go to verse 11, if you go now to Hebrews chapter 2 and verse 11, this is what they were doing. You understand? In Hebrews 2 and 11, it says, and it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren and looked on their burdens. And he spied an Egyptian smiting an Hebrew, one of his brethren. Not only were they throwing our babies in the river, oppressing us, we building them treasure cities, they working us to death. They got horrible taskmaster, Uncle, you understand, sellouts, Uncle Ruckus on top of us, checking us, calling us names, calling us lazy, belittling us so that they can look good in the sight of Pharaoh. Then Moses gets saved while they killing off our babies. He ended up going back into, being raised with all the wealth and power in Egypt because they fish him out the water while the rest of the babies is getting killed. He ended up on the damn Egyptian side, raised in the house by a sister. His own mother raised him because she worked in Pharaoh's house. Moses grow up. He leaves the land where all the Egyptians are because he been raised with the Egyptians, but he know he not an Egyptian. He go now into the land to see where his people live, and as soon as he get there, what does he see? He see them with a knee on George Floyd's neck. First day, he see them choke Eric Garner to death. He see Michael Schlager shooting Walter Scott in the back. He see Tamir Rice getting gunned down at the playground. Freddie Gray getting his legs snapped off and his spine ripped from his goddamn vertebrae. That's what he saw. The first day, he saw Tatiana Jefferson getting shot through the house, Breonna Taylor getting killed in her sleep, Alberta Spruill getting beat to death in her house. First day. That's what he saw. Moses was not used to being a slave, though. Moses was raised a free man. He went and killed that Egyptian and hid his body in the sand because he loved his people. And he was like, what the hell is going on? Y'all just let this happen? Because he wasn't used to being a slave. But then he saw, damn, this is how my people live it. And the Lord took that right spirit in him, not telling nobody go and kill no oppressor. Of course, we don't advocate, we don't say to do that. But Moses had a spirit, and the Lord honored that spirit in him and used and did great things with the love that that brother had for his people. And this is why it's important for us to learn our heritage and see how important it is that we don't join another nation of people, that we don't marry into them, that we don't join the empire. If those sisters loved America or loved Egypt as opposed to loving their own people, if they had leaders telling them, well, we not Hebrews, we Egyptians, because we in Egypt. So don't call me no Hebrew. I'm a Hebrew Egyptian. You know, I'm a Hebrew Egyptian. I'm not no, or I'm a, just making up some title so you can be more and more like your oppressor and less like the slaves. You forfeit your identity. Next thing you know, they telling you to kill your babies, which is exactly what has happened in this empire. You understand? So we're going to get some more on that, but that is history, our heritage of what's going on. That's very important. So now, when you see in Deuteronomy 28 and 68, when it's saying to you that you're going to go into a house of bondage again, this is what was happening to us in Egypt. You understand? And the Lord said you were going to go back into another Egypt, except this time you're going to go in ships and you would never see your homeland again. So give me that last scripture. We're going to close that out. Salaki, Ilazar, damn, you did. Let me see if we got time for it. Let me see how long it is. Alazar, you still there? If you still there, just type in. Let me see if we got time for it. Give me Deuteronomy 28 and 68. Matazah, Babakusha.
Khan, this is Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Meaning the Lord said he was going to bring us into Egypt. The first Egypt we walked in. The Lord gave us instructions. He gave it to Jacob and we walked in there physically. This time we're going to go into Egypt in ships, not voluntarily. Keep going.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Meaning the way where we were in our homeland in the Middle East, we would not see our homeland again. We would never see our homeland again. And that's why, because we discontinued from our heritage, just as we were reading at the beginning of the class. That's why we're learning our heritage and what happened to us and our records in Exodus. That's why we're breaking down what the scripture is talking about. So keep going.
And there ye shall be, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bond.
Hold on, Salaki, just stop right there. And there ye shall be sold in that land where we're going to end up after we got off those ships, and that new Egypt, that new house of bondage, we would be sold. The first Egypt we went into, we were not sold. We walked in there. We got our own place. We got situated. We grew. We multiplied. We had our land. Our brother was in charge. Joseph was ruling parts of Egypt. We were straight. This time, it's not going to be like that. We getting on ships, and we're going to go into a house of bondage. And we're going to get on ships, and there, when we get off those ships, we're going to be sold. Keep going.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
Unto who?
Unto your enemies.
Unto our enemies. We were going to be sold to our enemies. This is what the Lord is saying. This is the transatlantic slave trade in the Bible. Never at any point in time in all my years of going to church did any preacher, pastor, guest speaker, evangelist, deacon, deaconess ever mention this scripture one time. Never. Not at all. Your whole life wondering who the hell the people in the Bible are, you just know it's not you, when the whole time it is you. That's how evil the Christian church is, man. Keep going.
for bondmen and bondwomen.
A slave man and a slave woman, a man and a woman that has a price on their head. You understand? That's why they usually talking about anytime something is associated with our people. How many records did the Beatles sell? Did they ever talk about how many records did Ozzy Osbourne and AC/DC and you understand and the Beatles and all the white groups and Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all the white singers and Billy Joel and Dolly Parton? How many records did they sell? Does anybody know? Did anybody ever talk about, they went double platinum, triple platinum? Anybody mention that? They didn't start talking about how many records was being sold until it was you selling the records. Until it was Jay-Z and Beyonce and Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson. That's when they start talking about how much you are selling, how much the NFL is going to pay you to catch and throw balls for them. And the NBA is going to pay you in the draft. And you in that boxing ring doing that boxing. And you understand? They talking about you because you got dollar signs attached to you. Because there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. That's why the Chinese, the Japanese, the Arabs, they don't need a business degree. They don't need a doctorate, a bachelor's, an associate, a master's to go and open up businesses. Because you are the one that's being sold. We are being sold. They ain't being sold. You understand? They ain't got degrees in food safety, healthcare management. They're not being sold. They're not going to the same doctor that you and I are going to. You don't see them in the doctor's office when you going to see your doctor, do you? When the last time you went to see your primary care physician and it was families and families of Koreans and Arabs and Asians and Japanese and Chinese in the doctor's office with you? When was the last time you seen that? You went to the emergency room and saw a bunch of Chinese people in there? Koreans? Nah, you didn't. They here in America. Where the hell do they go to the doctors at? They're not going to the doctors where you going. Their kids not going to school where your kids are going to school. They're not going to college where your kids are going to college. Well, where the hell are they? They're in a completely separate part of the empire for themselves. Like everybody else is doing. They carved out some area for them, and that's where their people are, and they're not forfeiting their culture to join the empire. Like our people have been taught to do by those same religious leaders and taskmasters that was talked about in Exodus that we just read. All right. So we're going to pick up from there. All right. Next week. All right, y'all. Clap it up. All right. Right. Up. So we at the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. We start out at 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. You understand? If you're not in the Isupk, you are not in the truth. Rule for new brother and sister. When a brother and sister comes into the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to learn and shed themselves of the world. After that 6-month period, there is another period where you would request, if a brother or sister has a particular interest in anyone, then they would request to speak to a brother and sister by going to their head, to the camp leader, to ask if they can record a brother or sister. They will either be approved or they will be denied. Either way. All right. Tithes, which is a commandment from the Most High. 10% of any penny of any increase the Most High gives to you, you get right to the school. You go right to isupk.com. You understand? Be able to put your tithes in. Whatever amount, 10% of any penny of any increase the Most High gives to you. Go right to the same website, put it in there to email you a receipt right to your phone. Right to your email. All right. Upcoming high holy days on September the 25th. We got the memorial. Should be the blowing of trumpets that's coming up there. All right. Everybody just look out for that communications. Coming up next week, we have the annual headquarters cookout. You understand? In Harlem, New York, where the headquarters of the school is. It's going to be, should be in Marcus Garvey Park. Those flyers are in circulation. Everyone should have it. Make your arrangements, your preparations. The cookout itself is going to be on that Sunday. All right. The cookout is going to be on that Sunday. All right. Not this Sunday coming up, but the following Sunday should be the 27th. As a matter of fact, right here, let me get it up. The annual cookout Sunday, August the 28th, at Marcus Garvey Park in New York, the annual Isupk cookout. You understand? We got a camp speaking, a dynamic camp speaking is going to be on August the 27th in Times Square. Times Square, New York. That camp speaking is going to be off the chain. It's going to be fire. Of course, we used to speak in Times Square all the time before it got shut down due to COVID, due to a bunch of other things. And now we're going to be speaking back in Times Square again on that Saturday, the 27th in Times Square, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. is going to be on. You understand? Y'all know it's going to be on. All right. See whatever else we have. All right. Okay. So those are security announcements. Be sure to check any of the videos right here on the channel, ISUPK. No Cowards Richmond, No Cowards Virginia. Be sure to check the videos, like, share, subscribe. Be sure to like the videos, thumb up, share them, leave your comments. All those things help the channel, help the algorithm. You need those, you understand, so that other brothers and sisters will be recommended to watch the videos so that they can come into the truth and we can build our nation much quicker, because China is doing drills, shooting missiles all around Taiwan. It's just a matter of time. You understand? Russia making a move. Russia going to make a move for the rest of Europe, and France is going to leave NATO. And it's going to be on all throughout Europe. Everybody going to get sucked into this World War III. And you need to be building up your nation, because all the other nations are going to war. You don't want to be a civilian in that day. A civilian without a nation, that is. You understand? All right. So we're going to give one courtesy salute here. All right. Men of Israel, Imadium, which means to stand. Going to give one courtesy salute. All right. Men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat, Imadium, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakathon, Yadim Matah, which means hands down, Sar, which means to turn. Going to give one courtesy salute, sisters, Imadium, which means to stand. We're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters, men of Israel, Imadium Shabbat, Imadium, Barak, Yahweh Shamar Al-Athan by Hashem Yahushua, Yadim Matah, which means hands down. That class dismissed. All right. That shalom, Israel. The water y'all coming out, shalom.